Welcome to Kayfabe Queens. It's me, one half of your queens, Al, and I am here with a friend of the show, very special guest. Very excited to have her here, Astrid. How are you today?
I'm really excited after the pay-per-view yesterday. How are you doing?
I'm excited. I wasn't sure about going into the Rumble, cause kind of a weird build up,
Mhm.
but it was a really, really fun show overall. I had a good time watching it.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
had lots of emotions. But let's just get right into it. We opened the show with the men's Royal Rumble. Like, were you expecting this?
I kind of already expected one of them. I didn't expect the men's particularly, but I knew at least would be one of them opening, maybe one of them closing. So I was surprised that it was one opening and one like towards like semi-main event, but not at the end yet. So I wasn't surprised about this. I figured like if they have Kevin Owens' Roman towards the main event, something like bigger was happening there. Hence why it had to end that way. So it makes sense to me. And this is just, I feel like it was a good way to start because even though it was predictable, we knew Cody was winning. I feel like either way, watching Cody like open the show, it gives like a good feel start to the show itself as it is.
Yeah, and I think like the way Cody won, like obviously, guys, you know Cody won, was a good way because he actually had a match and the story of I think it was I don't even like yeah, we expected Cody to win. He deserved to win coming back. But I think this Rumble really made Gunther. Like this was his night. Like
Mhm.
he didn't have to win for his star to be made. Like he came in number 1 and he fought number 30. Like that story
Mhm.
is awesome. So like I don't know, we don't see that very often in a Rumble, especially, you start it and all the way to the end and he was so close and that was really cool to see because when he opened I was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, Gunther, Sheamus, number 1 and 2. Okay. You got to start off hot and intense." So like
Mhm.
I didn't expect him to be the one we were talking about, which is cool. So they really made him a star, and like I can see him main eventing. How did you feel about Gunther?
I loved it just because I feel like not only him, but he was my number one, like my MVP of the match, aside from Cody winning. But we
Hmm.
also had people like Sheamus and Drew, who I feel like really were highlighted during this, and so was Bobby Lashley as well, and like Logan towards the end when he came in. But that's a different story for another day.
We can get
Um,
into that.
and I feel like yeah, and then Ricochet, like they're how they collapsed in that spot as well. But I feel like what I liked about it is that it wasn't just about the winner. There were people highlighted throughout the match. Like we started with Gunther and then we went to like Sheamus and Drew and
Hmm.
like we kept like going like in transitions like this. And then we had like the Judgment Day storyline with like Finn Balor and like Damon Priest being there, Beth Phoenix and Rhea being involved as well. So I liked it because even though we knew how it started, we knew the ending, but the in between chapters of the story were so well done as well. So it was like it gave me like little bits and pieces that I could enjoy throughout the match itself. And it wasn't just like here, I'm focused on Cody winning and that was it. Like we enjoyed every in between as well. So like for me, Gunther was definitely like that MVP in the match. Just like if he wasn't winning, it's definitely like great performance. And it just I feel like it highlighted that not only him but the Intercontinental Championship as well, which is something they've been building up towards recently. And that's what I liked about it too. It just like those little details that we got through the whole night. I loved every bit of that.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, okay, where's Cody? He's gonna go clean it up.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
I would have liked, like in hindsight, like I mean, I know everyone was complaining about Cody being announced. I kind of wish they would have flipped it and made like Logan announced and then Cody came. I think that could have been better. But also, like, that might have turned people off if it was Logan because we were all like, "Oh, I don't want that." That was a surprise we did not
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Like, he's
that's
gonna
true.
give you a moment, but,
Mhm.
eh. And him
Mm.
that's also the we're talking about. We have a story in which he eliminated Seth Rollins. Is that going to Mania? Because I don't
Gosh.
know about that. I don't know if I want that for Seth. And I historically
It,
am not the biggest Seth fan. Sorry, you guys all know
I
this.
love
He's
that.
fine. He's fine. And I'm like, okay, but very odd.
Yeah, that's what I'm torn about because I love Seth, and one thing that I always pointed out with Seth is that if you think about it from his career in WrestleMania, officially he has never main evented WrestleMania because when he cashed in the Money in the Bank, that was not his match. You know that
Mhm.
he was, he cashed in, but he wasn't announced as part of the match beforehand. And when it was supposed to be kind of like his year, Becky got it. And he said, yeah, if
Mhm.
it wasn't me, like I prefer her having it of all people. So he was okay with it because of
For
that
the
sense of
family.
it, which I get. So it's like if she doesn't, then it's best that she does next. But if you notice, think about it from this aspect, being somebody who has been highlighted so well since his start in WWE, he has never main evented WrestleMania, and I wanted that for him for so long. So it's like I wanted like him and Roman to have that main event at WrestleMania, and it's like now it's gonna be him and Logan most likely. Which don't get me wrong, I'm excited in the aspect of like Endo Seth is gonna deliver, and I know Logan has been done like doing very well in wrestling, so I know it's gonna be a banger either way. But it's not what I wanted for him though. Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
something bigger and better for him in that sense of it. So it's like that's why I'm torn about it.
Yeah,
But
it's
just
kind
like
of
it's
weird.
sad. So yeah, it's just something that I didn't expect. It was either gonna be for me like Cody and Seth again, or or Seth and Roman somehow. But unfortunately, we're not getting that. Looks like it's gonna be Logan for the moment, maybe.
Yeah, it's
But I know like ways it's great for him and the character. Like I know like of all people, Seth is the one that could actually push Logan to a greater level too.
yeah, and I mean, we knew Logan was gonna be on the card. I don't know. It's weird for. I mean, maybe it's not so weird for Seth to have the Hollywood match in Hollywood.
Sure.
Maybe I don't know. They can make it make sense, but I don't. I kind of weird. Seth kind of is the company guy and like does
hmm
everything for them, so it's kind of weird. But maybe he's fine with it. Good for him.
Yeah.
Um, but like we said, yeah, Judgment Day. Like we noticed this also in the women's rumble. It was pointed out
Mhm.
uh, when I was on Women's Wrestling Talk the other night. But factions were having a great night in the rumble. Judgment
Mhm.
Day, Prison Dom, allegedly, apparently, we're not sure, attacked his father at number 17. Technically, Ray is still in the match. Let's just be real. Him and Curtis Axel
Yeah.
still in
I
the
thought about
match.
the same thing. It's like, is he gonna come on next week and say, "Well, Cody, you didn't really win because you didn't beat me, though."
Yeah, they have to have a match. Yeah, and then Dominic comes out at 18 in Ray's mask. Just the worst, but in the best way. He's just like, this kid. Like, but Judgment Day was like, all of them were units. They were taking everyone down until Edge came back.
Yeah, that's true.
Edge came back with vengeance. We got all the spears this time. They did not mess up the
Yeah.
camera work on that. They messed up stuff later, but not the camera work for Edge. Thank God. We got all the spears. We get them outside. We get Rhea, who was not officially in the match, unfortunately. I wanted her to be in the men's rumble.
Yeah.
Hello, number 17. She could have took 17. It was right there.
Yeah.
But like she could have dragged him out and been like, I'm taking his spot. Like you could have worked her in a little better, but
hmm
the spot with her and Beth Phoenix coming out. Mwah, mwah. How did you feel about this? We love women's wrestling, so
Yes. I loved it. Just like you, I thought at first that Rhea was gonna be the next person in, and that's why she came out when she did. But it just made me think about this aspect of like if she wins later, because obviously it's before she won. I kept thinking if she wins later, does that mean we don't get Beth and Rhea for Mania? We probably have to get it for the Chamber most likely then, or something in between there. So I'm like, I wanted that for Mania, but at the same time, I would love to see her either Bianca or Charlotte. Either way, I'm good with it.
yeah.
But I love having that because when Beth got attacked, I feel like we all but knew Beth was coming, but at the same time, we didn't know when it was gonna really happen. So this was that surprise in there too, and I love having like the storylines like intertwined with each other. It was like the Judgment Day is here, Edge is here, so Beth has to come out and save him because of Rhea being there as well. So I love that aspect of having those little bits and pieces connecting there too.
Yeah, this was like all storytelling, and Triple H really did a good job um, of remembering, like calling back to like 6 months ago, and everything. They're having announcers like mention that, or like Sheamus and Gunther starting it off, and they're like they had the best match of the year at Clash of the at the castle. So like nice callbacks and storytelling in there. I'm kind of disappointed. You're right. I wanted, a tag match at Mania, but I guess we're getting it at Chamber. It's fine. We're getting the match. It's all we
Mhm.
wanted the match. Beth looked great. I was hoping for her to be in the
Yeah.
Rumble, but whatever. I like it was a good men's Rumble.
Mhm.
Um, of course. I mean, we mentioned it. Cody wins, does the point. He also did a little too sweet, little finger gun action. Uh, for the homies. This was a nice little pull, callback. I'm like,
Mhm.
he remembers his friends. It's nice to see.
Mhm.
You're right. Did you think Brandy was going to come out with him?
No, I think the only thing that I kind of wanted from this though, because this is why I'm glad the women's was better in that aspect for me, because I watch NXT and I love NXT so much that I wanted at least one person from NXT to show up. And I think like somebody like Carmelo Hayes would be good in that spot for me.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to see him there at least. Somebody like not Braun Breaker because I'm not a Braun fan to be honest, but I feel like somebody of that like that star potential, and I feel like Carlo would have been great to have a spot in here somehow. And just like it makes me think, why didn't they just do like a 40-man battle royal? Because I feel like there's people missing. Like Nakamura wasn't there. We didn't get
Right.
Mustafa there either. I know they had the one with Alberto Del Rio, but I was like, we only had that one time, and I'm
Yeah, and
surprised they don't have any erase them from history.
we don't want to think about that. Maybe that's why it has too much trauma if they mention it. But like I think now they can. I feel like maybe last time when they tried the 40 man, I don't think it worked that well. But I think
Mm-hmm.
they have enough talent that they could definitely do a 40 man. Because you're right, like
Yeah.
we didn't see Shinsuke, Dolph, hello. You
Yes, Dolph was
guys know
another
how
one I
much I
have on my list.
love my life, Dolph,
Mhm.
hello. Um like you could have had so many people in there. And like I think Madcap even like mentioned he was supposed to be in it and he wasn't even in it.
Yeah.
So weird. Um but yeah, I could have used some more NXT people. Like that was nice. We can get into the ladies one, but like built like the future and like
Hmm.
yes, I guess the men's was all about storytelling, but needed some more surprises besides a Booker T. That was the only legend we
Yeah.
saw that like,
Yeah,
and I
that's
was
why
like,
I
we
think
see him
having
all
like 10
the
more
time.
people. Yeah, that's why I think having 10 more people like not only adds to like the people they have in the roster, but it adds to NXT and surprises like any legends. It gives you that hint of like there's gonna be more coming. Because we could have had Dolph, we could have Mustafa there, Nakamura, at least. Carmelo would have been another nice one. And you still had 6 spots to give out.
Yeah.
That would have been cool to see more people. I feel like something that I missed a little bit from the men's one was that nostalgia and like having
Mhm.
those NXT people mixed in there. I liked that's why I like the women's having Miss Shoulder because at least there was some representation there.
Mhm.
And then NXT we had a few there too, so I was happy with those numbers.
Yeah, that was kind of the only disappointment. Maybe next year we can get a 40 man. We could do it. Like they have the talent.
Mhm.
Also, though, I want to mention that Pat McAfee is back. Um, I'm very excited about that. However, see, I walked in a little bit late and they're like, "Oh, Pat's back," and I heard his music, and I was like, "Oh, they just said that the men's rumble's happening. Is Pat in the rumble? Is he number one?"
I saw that too.
It's like I really thought I was like, "Yeah, this makes sense. It's kind of weird, number one, but yeah, it makes sense."
Yeah.
Could put Pat in the rumble.
Yeah, I thought about it until I realized that wait, they haven't really announced it like they usually do with the rules and everything. So that's why it made me think, oh, he's not really there for that. But yeah, I love his entrance though, having him back the way he did. He got a great pop, which I liked.
Michael Cole was very excited, and I love that for Michael Cole.
Mhm. Yeah, me too.
They were friends. Okay, so we had a good time at the Rumble. And then we get this the pitch. That okay, hold on. The Mountain Dew pitch black match. Let's okay. We got full
Yes, you gotta
title.
say correctly. You gotta have the
I'm
Mountain Dew in there
sorry.
somehow.
Yeah, gotta get the whole thing in there.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't know what to expect. We had no idea what this was. Clearly a sponsored match. Um, we found out it was a big giant glow in the dark black light looking like a rave, a, a night golf situation. Um, I was very. How did you feel about this? What were you feeling before the match? Because we had no idea what this was.
Yeah, I kept thinking depending how the lighting was gonna be, because I hated the red lighting in the Hell in a Cell. So I was like, please don't make it any similar to that aspect at least. So that was my thought coming into it. I obviously, given the match itself, I knew Bray was gonna win it, so I was not expecting LA Knight to win in any shape, way, for form here. But as the match started happening, I like the lighting of it. I love having like him with the face paint, the way it was glowing, and like Trunks as well, and like little parts in the ring. I love that aspect of it from our side. I know for the fans there, it was a little different because they couldn't see some aspects of it.
Yeah.
I like the glow in the dark aspect. I really like that because at least it was better than the red lights. I could see this a lot better, and I like that visual of it. I also liked having the characters from the Firefly Funhouse through the entrance as Brave was walking into the ring as well. So there's little detailings here and there. The only like downside to this was like I feel like it was a mess because even with that name, it had like nothing that made it like stand out because it was a regular pinfall submission kind of match. There was nothing to it there.
Right, I feel like they could have been more violent.
Yeah.
Especially in the dark, everything would have looked, like, more intense. Like, I loved the look of the glowing ropes, I loved LA's gear glowing, I thought that was really cool, and I've been saying this, I don't know what's the first indie that's gonna do a whole show like this? Because I will go. Um, visually, I loved that.
Mhm.
But their feud and they had the, like, package before it, it was, like, intense and, like, scary, and didn't he, like, kidnap LA at one point? So, it should have been more intense.
Mhm.
And, like, yeah, Uncle Howdy showed up and jumped off and sent him to hell, maybe? I don't know, there was flames, we don't really know. It could have been more it could have leaned into more intense and scary for me.
Mhm.
Um, because I just watched it back and I was like, it was fun to look at. Like, so I don't know where we go, but it was a match and it was, like you said, much better than the red because that red, oof.
Yeah. No.
Mm-mm, I don't want to think about that ever again. And better than the House of Horrors match because that was woof, woof. So this also, again, the storytelling was Royal Rumble last night. Mwah. Perfect, because we went from the pitch black match to the women's title match, the Raw women's title match, Bianca and Alexa, which Alexa's been having some stuff with Uncle Howdy. He's been popping up on Raw, so to have the continuity, I really
Mhm.
appreciated that. Um, how did you like this match?
I feel like the only thing that, for me at least, I feel like nothing, like they didn't do anything like that really stood out to me more than anything in the match. But I love the chemistry they have. The storytelling in it itself was like between both of them was incredible. I feel like Bianca was selling her butt off as well here during this match. Definitely my favorite part was like that ending of having Alexa in the ring, contemplating about what just happened after losing to Bianca and having Uncle Howdy show up and just like, do you really think you're in charge line and showing the swing as we go back to Alexa's playground. And it makes me wonder like what's next really for her in that aspect now that like, does she think that she's not in charge because she saw Uncle Howdy telling her she isn't? Or like, is she going to give in? So like he's in charge and maybe that will kind of catapult her into championship vote somehow. But at the same time, I kept thinking after Rhea won, I was like, if Rhea goes after Bianca, I feel like a lot of us are by default going with Bianca because Rhea's in the same brand, but she could easily go for Charlotte, and then that
Yeah.
opens Alexa with Bianca. So I feel like it just keeps everything like up in the air at the moment right now until Rhea decides who she's going against.
Yeah, I mean, and a point was made, again, I was on the Women's Wrestling Talk host for a Rumble show. A point was made that Bray and Alexa don't need to be champions because they are otherworldly. So them holding championships is kind of weird, and that does make sense. I think I, I personally am not. I don't think Bianca and Alexa have the best matches. They're fine, but I don't think they complement each other as well. Like it was a fine match. It was just a match. Um, my complaint was I wanted more of like Alexa being more like conflicted in her like being very intense and like that like spooky, you know, Lily doll having kind of character and then kind of flipping it and being, I wanted more of that from her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we got it at the end. And I think the whole point, yes, it was, to have Bianca, but it was also to keep on this Alexa storyline. The storyline is her being conflicted, but I would have liked to seen it more in the match.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm curious because so now they're just gonna be spooky on both brands because Bray's on SmackDown and Alexa's on Raw. So it's kind of interesting but weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where this is gonna go, but we'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
My only complaint. But
No, I
Bianca looked
agree. I agree
great.
with you though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like one thing I would have liked to see would have been like Alexa getting aggressive towards Bianca
Hmm.
and kind of like snapping out of it and be like, "Why am I hitting my
Yeah,
friend?" And
like
like
whoa.
thinking, and then going back to like hitting her as if like nothing
Just
really happened.
yeah.
Like little like parts of her like pausing and hesitating to like made it
Hmm.
look like she's battling within herself about what's happening.
Yeah, just or maybe, something outside and just being really loud and being like, whoa. And then like
Hmm.
going back inside and being in like a normal
Yeah.
match. Could have worked, but it was good. Had a nice time. They looked great. Liked their gears. That's also because I was like, oh, Alexa has like darker gear. Like it looked a little more like a different
Yeah.
nice gear. So I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna see a little something, but I don't know. It's a slow build with a Bray Wyatt story, so we will see. And we went right into the women's Royal Rumble after this. Whew. Um, starting off hot. Rhea and Liv, 1 and 2. Rhea's still banged up from Beth beating
Mhm.
her. Nice to see that. She's still hurt. Um, yeah. How do we feel about 1 and 2?
I feel like I love that part because it just goes back to what Liv was saying of like she said she was volunteering to be number one because she wanted to showcase herself and show out and just say, I started from number one and if I win at the end then look at the performance I've had and she wanted to be like that workhorse kind of role in there. So when Rhea came out first, like, oh, what happened there then? Um, so I was surprised at having her first, but then when Liv came out second, they mentioned it like she volunteered to be number two. I say I love this because it just shows how she wants to work towards it. She has the goal, she wants to go towards it. And I love that aspect of it. And not only that, but I thought of like these two are starting out their former partners too. They already have
Mhm.
chemistry as it is too. So we have that, storytelling between them there already that of Rhea like backstabbing her and now going to Judgment Day. So you can still see that being like part of this story as well. But I love having them both like being at the beginning and being towards the end too and being the final two. It just same thing that we have with Gunther, just to give you that, workers performance from both of them. And I feel like it showed them as such a different light because we know how Rhea is such a powerhouse, but to see it, it's sad to see it on display very often here in the Rumble itself. And Liv, she's been growing so much, and it's nice to see that growth being here in the Rumble. It's like giving you that still that hope of like she's gonna get it. I wish, except from, I know she got the mist in her face, but I feel like I would have loved her like snapping the way she did it when she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship, of like
Mhm.
having that storytelling still of like whenever she loses, she's like snapping and being mad at herself for not be able to achieve that goal that she wanted. But I know that like she had the mist, so it would have been a little bit difficult in that aspect. But I kind of wanted something like connecting both things. So like whenever she won championship goal, like whenever when she lost it, and she thought she was close to it, she was snapping.
Yeah. I could she didn't do enough of that, like, kinda going back to Alexa not going back into that, so but, I mean, yeah, she did get misted, but you're right, like you said earlier, we got a lot of girls from NXT. The first one was NXT champion Roxanne Perez. Um, we saw Zoe Stark, Indy Hartwell. Like it was a good night for NXT. Um, and they did mention like Indy being with the Way. So that was nice. And I was like, put her back with her family. Um,
Yeah, please.
that's what I want. And then, of course, Michelle, obviously, who trolled us all and said, I wasn't invited. I'm going to sit in the audience. I am not a Michelle
Yeah.
McCool fan. I'm going to be the first to admit this. She was fine. She needed Layla. But that was a really cool way to bring her into
Mhm.
the ring, and I don't think we've ever seen that, so that was really cool to see her music play, and she's like, "What?" And her kids are like, "What? Mom, what are you doing?" And,
Yeah.
like, she hops in the ring, and they keep mentioning she's wrestling in Uggs, like,
Yeah.
that was such a cool moment. What are, like, some
Mhm.
highlights for you? Like, because I think, obviously, the women are always gonna be better than the men in a rumble. Like, it's always more entertaining for some reason.
No, dude, I'm gonna go from like beginning to like end. For
Okay.
me, it's like having BFAP in there. I didn't think she was gonna be a part of it. At least
She
she
did
was there.
really well.
Yeah, I knew she was not gonna last so long because she's still very green in the ring, but still it's nice to like they counter her towards this. Having Roxanne in there, I love Roxanne and her representation, and like I feel like her being in Texas, I feel like it was fitting that she was in the Texas Royal Rumble. So I feel that was awesome to see because I was thinking, come on, Papa H, give us the NXT girls this time around, please. So I was hoping for one or two, and having three, I feel like that was amazing in itself. It's like the storytelling we had with Damage Control being there, like Bailey was there at the beginning,
Mhm.
but then Dakota and Io going one after the
Right
other.
after the other.
Yeah, being in control of that match and whoever came in. I like that they didn't come in and they started eliminating people right away. They might had eliminated one or two, but there were still people in the ring. So it was like giving her like that slow build of they've eliminated those people.
Mhm.
I love having Tegan there. I love Tegan as it is. Another one was Asuka. When I feel like I loved the pop when her music came up and when she showed off her makeup, I feel like that was incredible. I was waiting for this. I have been telling my friend Mel, I was like, she's teasing about it on Twitter, so I'm excited for her return. This was
This
chef's kiss.
mm. And, like, she came out, and everybody was like, "Asuka," and I was like, "Ooh, okay, mask. That's a little different." And she did a little turn, and I was like, "Her hair's short." I was like, "That." I was like, again, like, I was like, "Ooh, I
Hmm.
noticed a little something a little different." I was like, "Is it?" I was like, they're not gonna." And then she did this, and I was like, jaw on the floor, like, I was like, just like the fans, like, shocked and shook, and I love this where she's so intense,
Yeah.
and they made her look like the threat she is and should be. All the girls were scared,
Yes. Hmm.
as you should be, as you should be,
Yeah.
like, terrified. This was such a moment, and I'm happy for her to be kind of who she is again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you said, it's that detailing of like at that moment. I remember Tegan and Liv were staring at her, giving that look of like they're scared when she
Like,
arrived. It was like I love that expression in them. It's like they're responding to like whoever's coming in, and I love seeing that aspect of it because I feel like usually people just ignore whoever comes in and they just turn around and fight each other.
mhm,
So versus like it's nice to see them. Oh, they noticed that she was there and they noticed her presence. And like you said, I keep thinking of her like I hadn't seen this version of her, but I see like clips here on and there on Twitter, and like seeing it just makes me think she's gonna be such a badass when she debuts this somehow in the main roster. And I was like, I cannot wait to see how she can be more like herself and with this character than before. Um, and then after her, we Piper Niven, which I was glad because I'm used to having her as Piper Niven. I was waiting for the dude drop to be dropped, no pun intended there. But just like
oh, they did all
I'm
the
glad to see
puns.
her this. Oh yeah, I'm glad that she's Piper Niven again. She's like she can be herself. She doesn't have to be like that Dude Trap theme song. I'm waiting for everything, but love seeing her the way she is now. I feel like it will. I feel like having the ladies return that did at the Rumble, I feel like such a good reset for the women's division for both sides. So that's what I'm waiting for, especially from SmackDown because I feel like it's been lackluster on their side some a little bit compared to Raw. But
Mhm.
just seeing this, it was excited to see this visual. It's like, yes, her name is back.
Yeah, I heard it, and then I think I saw I think there was, like, the Tron first that says Piper Niven, and I was like, "No," like, and then I saw her,
Yeah.
and I love her so much. I'm a chunky girl, so anytime you can see a chunky girl in the ring, I I've always just I fell in love with her during the Mae Young Classic, and I was like, "Who is she? She's so cute. She's so pretty. Like, she a thick girl. I love that." And so I, like, seriously started crying that she got her name back, and I was like, "Why am I reacting like this?" Like, this, why am I in tears? The one time I was in tears was Piper getting her name back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so
Yeah.
happy for her. Like, look at
Mhm.
how like she looks so happy. Like, we know she's been having health issues, and I'm glad she's well enough to be back in the ring. Um, I'm excited for what she does. I mean, Would we put her on SmackDown? Just move her.
Yeah, I feel like they need more ladies in SmackDown to be active there, so I would like to see that. I feel like especially now that Charlotte's champion, I want to see, given what they have, what I have with NXT is like there are so many possibilities that you don't know who's going next against the champion. So I would like to see something like that on the SmackDown side. And like going back to the next one, Chelsea Green is like I obviously hated and loved at the same time that she was only there for a few seconds, but as Chelsea Green, it's something you expected with her character now that she has. And it just we kind of expected her to return somehow. I didn't think it was gonna be at the Rumble, but still love seeing her, and I'm hoping this is the time that she stays there, doesn't get injured. Please, Chelsea. I
Yeah.
love you, Chelsea.
She's been real good lately, so hopefully. But she did. She came in and she made an impact. That's not a pun. Um, like even though she was short, everyone's gonna remember. Oh yeah, she was the one who got knocked out really quickly. It was funny. And I hate to admit when Graves says things that are funny, but he was like, I didn't even get to make fun of her husband. Like,
Yes.
so that was
I love
nice.
it.
She looked great. Um,
Yes.
very excited for that. Yeah, that was like so fun. And you're right. It did feel like a reset for the women's division. And after the week, everyone complaining and being upset, I think Triple H was like, "See, I had a plan. I have an idea. Like,
Yes.
just calm down, guys."
Yeah. Yeah, I was
But
like, please give me something different. Like I was one of those, like I was telling my friend Mel when we did our podcast, it was like I wanted more for the ladies. I know there's a moment to like we have to give it time, so I'm like, please just give it to us. And I feel like this Rumble was such a good like restart to that. Another one that I really enjoyed too was Alina with her cosplay. I feel like she always
oh,
kills it with her cosplays too.
killed
And
it.
the moment she came in, I thought she was getting eliminated, and I was holding like myself like this, like no, please, I don't want another Chelsea. So I'm glad she lasted a little bit longer than what she did before. And that I love that. Even though I don't like Lacey, I love the part of like the way they used it with Lacey in the
That was a
submission towards the end too.
good elimination. I
Yeah.
do not want to see Lacey on my television.
Mm.
But that was a good elimination. I'm gonna give you that. Give you one thing,
Yeah.
Lacey. But yeah, Becky Lynch came out number 15,
Hmm.
and her and Damage Control went underneath the rope, so they were still in the mat beating each other. So again, the storytelling and her and Bailey still just going at it. Like, this is going to Mania, right? Like, we have to have this at Mania. Those two at Mania, we don't need a title. And that's what I love, that they don't need a title now.
Hmm.
So I'm very excited for that. I don't know what we're gonna do with the tag titles, but
Yeah.
I love Damage Control did reset and felt strong the way they should be.
Hmm.
Um, it was it was a good night. Um, what else was there? What
Yeah,
else?
I
There's
also
so
thought about Emma too, because I kept thinking of Emma and Paige to me were some of the people that laid the foundation for what NXT is now. And to think that they never got to be in the Rumble because when Paige was advertised, she had to be removed from it because of her injury. And now Emma wasn't in the company till now, so it's incredible to think like after 5 years now, this is her first Rumble too.
yeah,
So
and they
it's just nice
mentioned
to see
that.
that. Yeah. And I feel like the only disappointment for me was having Nia be number 30.
Oh yeah,
Because I was hoping for that Naomi return. I still have hope for
Ooh,
Naomi somehow. And if it wasn't Naomi, I think like I was hoping for Beth to be in there because I kept thinking we'll continue the storyline with Rhea, being that Rhea was
right.
still in the match at that time. So those were like the two people, either that or maybe a legend or somebody from NXT. But specifically, I was hoping for Naomi and Beth. So when
Yeah.
Nia's music came on, I'm like, does she have to be really
Well,
30?
they messed it up.
Yeah.
They played the music, and I was like, "Oh, is she just interrupting the match?" Like, and then they put the countdown. I was like, "Oh, you just messed up."
Yeah.
Like, and that's karma for it not being Naomi. I'm just saying. The surprise we much like Logan Paul that we didn't want. Like, weird weird choice of a number 30. I don't know about that one, but she was out of the match. Um, and I appreciate that they all ganged up on her. Uh, get her out of there. And but the fact that the final 3 were number 1 and number 2,
Mm-hmm.
Rhea, Liv, Asuka, like I don't know, I can't think of when there was 1 and 2s that like were making it all the way. And it was another thing for Liv, like you said, to prove herself. Um, and obviously Asuka to really cement herself as dominant again. So
Mm-hmm.
that made me nervous though. All of them outside.
Yeah.
But it was done perfectly. And then for, Liv and like you said, Liv and Rhea to be former tag team partners and to be in the end and Rhea to eliminate her. Rhea's going to WrestleMania. Mommy's going to WrestleMania. Shout out to all my friends who dressed as Rhea Ripley yesterday. There was a lot of them. There's going to be a lot at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, are you so who do you think she's going to choose? Cuz I mean, you said you think everyone's default is Bianca. So are you not thinking that?
I'm up in the air about it still because I have one of my friends, Ed, who like planted the idea in my head. I was like, well, we had Charlotte and Rhea before, but it was when the pandemic was, so they didn't have fans there. So maybe they kind of want to reset and going back to that. And I feel like either way, she has a background story of both of them. So I feel like it could go either way. Because if you think about it from this aspect, Rhea and Bianca goes back to the Rumble when Bianca won and they were the last two. And they're like, we're gonna be even on it, and they like, I think they bumped fists, and they went back at it with each other until Rhea got eliminated and Bianca won. And I think like her and Bianca have kind of teased it a little bit too, but we also had that background story with Charlotte of like she wants to beat Charlotte. She didn't get to beat Charlotte. Charlotte beat her for the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania, so maybe she's gonna want to like up Charlotte in that aspect. Like, you went towards me, now I'm going towards you, and we're gonna do it in front of an audience, and it's for the SmackDown Women's title. I think the only thing that will be kind of odd in that sense will be like having Judgment Day on Raw and having her on SmackDown. So I
Mhm.
don't know. That's why I'm up in the air about it. But I feel either way, it's a good story.
They're loose with kind of brands.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially for WrestleMania, if she does pick Charlotte, it's not gonna matter. Um, yeah, I she does have stories with both, so it's really easy to put her in both of those situations. But she's never no, Bianca's never beat Rhea.
I don't
So
think so.
that's her ultimate test, and
Mm-hmm.
they built up together in NXT, and we all know Bianca was never an NXT champion. Rhea was. So I don't know. I kind of want to see Bianca and Rhea more
Mm-hmm.
because I want to
Yeah.
see Bianca lift her up.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Just two
That'll
strong
be a cool
ladies.
visual then. Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm.
Dominic's obviously gonna get involved. Judgment Day is gonna get involved. Street Profits, like I could see this whole thing already. Um,
Yeah.
I I don't know where that leaves Charlotte. Hopefully Naomi return. Maybe I don't know, but we will see. But overall, women's Royal Rumble was so good.
Yeah. Loved it.
The best part of the night, honestly, is always the women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, after a performance no one asked for, we go right into the main event. KO versus the head of the table himself, Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman and Sami Zayn at his side. No Usos. He said, Usos, stay back. This is Sammy's night. What a night.
I
Uh,
need therapy for this one.
yeah, we all need therapy. WWE, please pay for our therapy bills. This is emotional damage. The match, intense, great. We get a knockdown of the ref, shenanigans afoot. KO does pin Roman. Gets like a 5 or 6 count from the audience, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but then, of course, Roman's like, "Hey, Sammy, go get me that chair." And Sammy's like, I don't know." But he gets him the chair. Roman wins. Okay, fine, good, okay. Whole family celebrates. Sammy finally, their Usos were like, "Yep, our boy did it. He's now official, right? Right, Roman? Here's a lay for him. We're gonna do this." Roman says no, no, no. And Paul Heyman, who says he always has handcuffs, the handcuff KO to the ropes. They beat him down. After this man has went through the steps, and not just like the side of the steps, he went through like the actual steps, which my back. Um, the Usos just kick after kick after kick. Solo beats this man. At that point, Sammy says, "No, I can't do it." Has the chair. He does it. He does the thing that we didn't know what Sammy was gonna do. He hits Roman Reigns in the back with the chair. It happened. Everyone shook. Roman's mad. Jay is heartbroken. He said, "You're my brother." They beat this man down. Jay can't take it. Jay leaves. Jay walked away from the bloodline. Roman grabs the lei and pours the flowers all over Sammy's body, buries him. They rip off the honorary Uso shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Art, cinema, Oscars. Are you okay? Because I'm still not okay.
I said it yesterday in my chat with my friends. It's like, this is like a telenovela. Like, holy moly.
Look at this.
Like, so many bits and pieces in here. Like, I feel like later on, once I'm recovered, I'll be able to like pinpoint a lot of other stuff. But jeez, it just I was doing a post show with my friends and like we were discussing little bits and pieces. So I definitely want to like say them here. But
Yeah.
it's just the part of like Sammy hitting KO once. KO told him take the first shot. He did that, and just like those little details of like Jay running away. But it made me think about it this way. Um, Jay was not only that way because he trusted Sammy, but also because he was able to do what Jay couldn't do. In that
Yep.
aspect of like, Sammy was able to break off from the tribal chief versus Jay couldn't, and he gave in. And the part of like abandoning his bloodline the way he did, and just like, hey, you're my brother, come
Yep.
back here. And he didn't. Oof. I just.
Yeah, you're right. This started with Jay. This started with Jay when Jimmy was
Mm-hmm.
out in the Thunderdome. This is how we got main event Jay. He was distraught. I'm distraught. What do we do? Like, this is, and I said this before, I said it the other night, but this is a story that people are going to be like, this has got me into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're going to look back and be like, this is why I wanted to be a wrestler, or this was my favorite storyline because how do you do something for 2 years and you're still entertained?
Yeah.
Like, it's twists and turns and emotion, and people chanted "F you, Roman," like it was 2015 again, but in a way where we like in a better way, you know, storyline way. But yeah, like now all of Roman's empire is crumbling. Like he does like what's the family gonna do now? Like does this end with Jay? Does Jay have to end it? Because I think we all want Sammy, but I think it has to end with Jay, right?
Yeah, I keep thinking we have the chamber coming up next. It'll be in Canada, so I think it's fitting to have Roman versus Sammy there.
Hmm.
KO could actually be by his side too. I think the only thing that would be kind of odd in the sense of like the storytelling is like I don't know if it's both of them, but I know one of the Usos can cross to Canada, so one of them's definitely going to be absent from the show. I think it's one of them if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, they are not allowed in Canada.
Yeah, I know one of them is. I
So
don't think it's both. So that'll be pretty odd picture to see there. I think it's Jimmy if I'm not mistaken.
I
Um,
think it might be. They might get injured before, you know?
Yeah.
Easy.
So I wonder how that will play out in that aspect of like they're not going to be there to be the backup. It'll be just solo in that aspect, if anything. And then Sammy will have Kevin Owens and as backup there. So that's why I think it's interesting going to the next pay-per-view with the storytelling itself there. Not only that, but I feel like another aspect of it too is that we have a tournament for both the SmackDown and the Raw tag team titles. Does that mean the Usos are, being without titles pretty soon because they've won different tournaments on different brands too. So
Mhm.
when is that match going to be? Are they going to have the match on different pay-per-views for which each winner, or is it the same pay-per-view on the same night for both titles? How is that going to work? I don't remember seeing details about it.
There's
So
no
I'm interested to
details.
see, yeah, how both tournament winners are going to go face off against the Usos somehow. So I think that's interesting in itself as well, on top of this going on. And
Yeah,
how does KO fit in it too later on? Because I know he was going to be there to help out Sammy, but what else?
yeah. There's a lot to think about. But Sammy is on the Elimination Chamber poster.
Yeah.
Uh, so unless he's in the chamber match, I don't know. There's so many things. There's so many layers to it, and that's the like cool thing. Like this visual of them both laid out, heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
like I know everybody was like, "Where's the Rock?" Or we wanted the Rock and Roman. We don't need that.
We don't need The Rock. This
Like
was great in itself without The Rock.
a year ago, maybe that sounded cool, but we have been given such a beautiful story and like we don't need it. It would have been weird if he was like, "Hey guys, what's up?" We'd be like, "Eh,
Mm,
hey Rocky."
I feel like
But
you
you
could do
don't
that without the title though, because you could easily do that Roman and Sammy, and Sammy win it because that'd be like a huge pop as it is. And I feel
mhm.
like later on you could still do The Rock and Roman as like The Rock
Yeah,
passing on, the torch to Roman without the title being involved. It doesn't need it.
yeah.
It really
It doesn't
doesn't.
need a title, no. But also now we have to include where does Cody fit in? Are we separating one of Roman's championships?
Yeah.
What do we do with because what is Cody gonna do? Go to NXT and face Braun Breaker? Like what which would be no. Um I said it, I don't want it out there. Um but yeah, Cody has to fit in this. You can't just it's such a deep story. Like they have to separate one of Roman's titles. Maybe at Elimination Chamber? I don't know. There has because
Mhm.
there's no way unless and even that doesn't make sense unless you do a night one Roman, and Cody for the title, and a night two Roman and Sammy or Jay. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I thought
it's
about that too, but it makes me think of like if they do have Roman as the main event for both nights, then the women don't get to main event, which I was hoping like if you have both nights, you can do one for the guys, one
yeah,
for the girls at least.
yeah,
So having like the only part they when I thought about like when they I forgot who said it before online about that aspect of like dividing it, have Roman main event on night one and night two. It's like, yeah, but what about the ladies? Like you're telling me none of the ladies should main event it? Like at least the Rumble winner should main event whoever she goes against.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Rhea should definitely main event. She's definitely earned it. Uh, I give her one of the nights, but yeah, one interesting road to WrestleMania we're on.
Yeah.
Uh, this this was a good solid rumble, and like I said, I didn't know what to expect because the way we went into it was kind of weird, right? Like it was kind of
Hmm.
there's stuff overshadowing it, and just a lot of things happening in wrestling. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, the rumble's on, like so, and the build up to the women was kind of non-existent, but it turned out to be one of the best nights of the night. Um, Yeah, what would you rate this out of 10?
Oof. I would give it maybe a 9.5. I feel like I said earlier, I could have done a little bit more with like some surprises for the guys, like maybe a little bit
Mhm.
of NXT, one more legend perhaps. And I did not like having Nia in there. Look, like Logan is okay because at least Logan is like he does well when he wrestles. But Nia and her attitude is something that I did not need in here. And especially like
Yeah.
now that she has already a shirt announced, so that means she's back for real. It's not a one-off either. So I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't like her having in here. But I feel like more than anything, what sold me on this paper was we had storytelling from beginning to end in so many different aspects of it. And I love seeing that in this whole pay-per-view. That was definitely what sold me on it. It's like I didn't want to get up from my chair because I felt like I was gonna miss something important
Oh
happening.
my gosh. I could
So
not go to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, I got to wait till
yeah.
this is over."
Yeah, so I feel like that's what really sold me more on this than anything. Is like I said, both rumbles, even though you probably had a winner, they were predictable in that aspect, but the in between was still very interesting, and all
Mhm.
these little bits and storylines that we got from there too.
Yeah, and I think the women's more so was like it could be anybody. Like I was like, "Okay, if I had to pick, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick Rhea." But I was
Mhm.
like, it really could have went to anyone. For the women, like Cody isn't obvious, but it was a night of stories and building people up and reset. Like it was like a hard reset on the women's division that they needed, and I'm excited. I'm excited about WWE. All right, let's go. Look at that. It's been last night reminded me like, oh yeah, I this is why I like wrestling, or this is why I like WWE. Because of nights like that, when they do it well, they do it well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and you didn't need The Rock or Stone Cold to overshadow them. They killed it that main event, and yeah, I had a really really good time watching it. Um, good solid start to the year, I would say, for their pay-per-views. So I'm excited for Mania. I'm excited for the
Exactly.
next 2 months.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think we did it. We're emotionally damaged, but are you excited for Mania? Does this give you excite like
Yeah, I'm excited, especially for the ladies. Like I said, it's just like I'm thinking like what route is Rhea gonna take, so what does that leave off the second person? I feel like I depending on who Rhea picks. And then I liked having all these returns because we had like that like from Asuka to Piper Niven. And I feel like we have, like you said, that reset of like we don't know if Asuka's gonna still be part of Raw and Piper Niven's still gonna be part of Raw, or they're gonna go to SmackDown. And I feel like it adds another layer and more ladies to these storylines that we have. Because something that I've been enjoying on Raw lately was not only that we have a Raw Women's Championship storyline, but there's also all the storylines going on as well, which is something that I enjoyed from NXT since I've been watching it for so long, and it's something that I want more SmackDown. So that's what I'm hoping this reset will help rebuild that the SmackDown Women's division. I feel like they need it. I feel like it's
mhm,
great, like a great start to have Charlotte as champion because she's so great with so many people. She picks on the best of them, but it's also nice to see like other people like coming after her as well and having all those storylines that don't involve the SmackDown Women's Championship too, and maybe some contenders for the tag team one because I didn't realize it, but somebody mentioned online that Dana was saving Emma, and that goes back to them being a team as well before. So
oh,
maybe that
I
could go
didn't
to
even
something
notice
else too.
that.
I didn't either. That's why I want to rewatch that part.
Oh, I'm gonna rewatch
Um,
that.
yeah, and I feel like it would be nice to see somebody like Indy come in here and team up with Candice, be a
Ugh,
team in that aspect too. Shotzi came back, so maybe Shotzi and T can go at it again as the tag team. It just, that I feel like having all these ladies come out, it just gives you so many possibilities. So that's what I'm excited for. I'm hoping they do, please do it. And then Bailey and Becky, I was disappointed we didn't get it during Raw, so I'm hoping we get it for maybe Chamber or Mania somehow.
mhm.
Please, either one I'm good with.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot of possibilities. Like could put Chelsea Green on SmackDown. Chelsea and Charlotte would be fun. Chelsea, Sonya Deville. Like there's a lot of possibilities, and you're right. Like there's a lot of options for tag teams now. Somebody, put Tamina back with Nia. Like they were a tag team. They're former champions. Tamina looked
Yeah.
great. It's been a minute, and she had that nice little stare down with Piper.
Yes, love
We
that.
like we love a little callback.
Yeah. Or even
So,
Natty, like Natty came back and she was with Tamina before and they were tag champions, so that we like a nice reset there. So, and
mhm.
the other thing I was thinking about was like if, let's say, for example, Rhea does go for Bianca, we also have a background story with Liv and Charlotte there too, of like Liv has been twice going after Charlotte and she has failed. So maybe this time around she goes after Charlotte and she wins. So it's like that's why I'm like with so many ladies coming in here, there's so many possibilities. So I'm like,
Yeah.
just give me the little roots and pieces here because I want to see everything.
I like that we're like, we don't really know what's happening. That's always the fun part of
Yeah.
wrestling when you're like, I don't know. Like, yeah, okay, we knew the winners, but we didn't know how it would go down this year.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what's going on for WrestleMania. So that's nice. So when you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen? This is fun. This is a very fun way to feel. Um, and I hope to keep it up for this road to WrestleMania. And we'll be watching. We'll be talking about it. And I will. You're not going to Mania, right?
No, unfortunately, I wanted to go this year, but I do have a trip to celebrate my birthday going to London, so that's definitely like my bucket list thing that I've been to Mania long enough. So this is definitely on my bucket list that I had to cancel because of the pandemic in 2020. So this is definitely it for me, but I'm hoping maybe next year. We'll see. But I do want to go to other pay-per-views because I've been to like 4 or 5 WrestleManias at this point. So I do want
Oh,
to go
okay.
to like other big ones like the SummerSlam, the Survivor Series, and those big pay-per-views
Yeah.
that I've been enjoying for so long. But I do love going to WrestleMania, so maybe I'll try to go back just to see all the people that I've met through these short years in the wrestling media community now.
This will be my first Mania, so
Yeah,
it's a
excited for
few
you.
hours away. So I'm very excited. I'm hopeful. It's gonna be a good night. I had missed it all the other times it's been in California, so not missing this year. So
Yep.
I'm very excited. Um, yeah, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you taking the time out when I was like, okay, I want to put a Rumble show together. Who can I ask to be on? And I was like, oh, let me ask Astrid. That was not a pun. I swear that was not.
No, yeah, it was nice. No, it was surprising, but I'm glad you asked me because I didn't get to really chat about women's wrestling in that aspect, so I was nice to like dive in into that
Yeah.
aspect of the pay-per-view too.
Yeah, and I usually am stuck, not stuck, but I'm usually over in AEW land for women's wrestling talk. So it was nice to chat some WWE, some good stuff to talk about. Um, but yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks everyone who's watching. And where can we find you online? What are we doing?
The best one will be my Twitter, which is like my name, Astrid Pizarro. My Instagram is Astrid Pizarro 20. That's what I put usually all my stuff. And like I have weekly shows too, so I announce those on my social media. I talk about NXT, I talk about Impact, and I do have a women's podcast with my friend Mel, Ladies Wrestling Showcase. So we talk about anything from the female perspective in the wrestling community. So it's nice to have that outlet to talk about things like that that we don't get to talk about often. And I feel like we usually get a lot of guys discussing it. It was like, well, so it's nice to get that female perspective to it too.
Hmm. Yep. I feel that that's why I'm here.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much. And you guys know where to follow us at Kayfabe Queens on all the things. You could follow me at Alia, 2 underscores. It's 2023. We are back here making content. We got a lot of stuff happening, a lot of trips coming up. Um, yeah, we got fun stuff happening. We're gonna have some fun interviews. We're back full force. I know last year was weird, and I know I'm without my usual tag team partner, but she'll be back. We'll have some friends along the way. So, yes, and don't forget to check out Women's Wrestling Talk. We actually both. You're a writer. I'm a host. Like I said, I'm usually over in AEW land. Catch me every Wednesday for the Dynamite After Show. One half of your Dynamite dolls with my girl Mika, and every other week with Turnbuckle Glam. So just follow us on the things. We got a lot happening. It's WrestleMania season. We're gonna do it. All right. Bye guys.